You said that you and Bill Shipley and who else was riding four-wheelers up there around Fred's house?
It was me, Bill Shipley, my brother, and a couple others we was riding. And I don't care what Fred says that I'm lying or he never did or whatever, but yes, he did. He shot at us that night. And there's a couple of us that know that it was him exactly, because he's afraid we was going to be on his property snooping around, or he'd get busted for making a meth lab or whatever at that time.
Right.
So therefore, Fred's lying. Fred lies. He's got that poker face. You don't know if he's going to walk up to you and smack the hell out of you, or if he's going to walk up and be nice to you. You don't know. You don't know.
Right.
But Fred has done a lot of crooked things in his life. A lot of crooked things.
And I hear Fred, I hear that Fred said that wasn't him, that was his uncle, his dad's brother that was up there, doing that.
I've never known his uncle to live in that holler. I've never known that his dad's brother lived with him, period.
Yeah, he said that he didn't live in there, but he would come up there and do evil stuff and then leave. He said that he asked his uncle why he did that, and his uncle said because you guys were trying to steal a rock.
A rock?
That's what, right? That's what he said. You guys were trying to steal a boulder. You were trying to steal a big rock.
For what, Fred? For what?
Off the property.
For what, Fred?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I heard.
But my daddy's buried at Light Cemetery.
Also, there was a man that came up dead, and somehow Fred Hill ended up with this man's gun. Do you know anything about that? You know anything about Fred Hill coming up with a gun that supposedly, that belonged to that actually unalived some
I'm not going to mention no names because I don't want this family brought through the mud because they've already been drugged through the mud. But yes, Fred Hill ended up with a pistol that didn't belong to him, and he ended up trading it off to somebody else, and that somebody else got caught with it, and he's charged with it, and he went to jail not too long ago.
Oh, and that was the exact gun that unalived a particular human being.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
That is what's a very interesting thing for me, because he is actually convicted of child abuse and neglect. And I have shared the CPS report from that visit that first happened when they took the children. Where were you when that all happened, and can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was a contact with CPS for when they couldn't get a hold of Fred or Laura. Fred has a weird perspective of how things are found, but my sister had went to talk to Fred. I guess I need to give you a little backstory about why she went to talk to Fred to tell him she was leaving. And she had originally went up there because Laura was having some kind of lower back surgery. It was minor. I had 2 of them and didn't need no help. But she had the baby, and at that time Fred had custody of his oldest daughter, and then they had their daughter together and the baby. So there was 3 children plus her daughter, Laura's daughter, from before she met Fred. She would come there and stay. So evidently, Laura having lower back surgery, she needed help. So Mom convinced my sister to go up there and help them, and they had a little camper up there. Julie stayed in the camper with her husband and her daughter, and she would, help with the baby and help, cook and clean and stuff like that. Her husband was ran off. Fred ran her husband off. That's a whole other story.
Right.
Fred, you know all about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do too. The situation got pretty volatile.
I'm sure.
And Julie had meant to unenroll her daughter from the school that they were all going to, and she had a conversation with the principal that concerned Fred's oldest daughter, and it had to do something with drugs being taken into school. And she had unenrolled her daughter and came back to the house and went in to tell Fred that the school was already aware of drugs coming from there into the school via his daughter, and that they had already contacted CPS. And she was there to let Fred know and give him a heads up, and that she was leaving, and that she didn't want to be no part of it. She was standing there with her car keys in her hand when Fred jumped up out of bed and went off on her, put a gun to her chest. Laura was in the house. She came into the bedroom and was holding the baby and was standing right beside Julie. And Julie was hollering at Laura to get out of the room, take the baby out of the room. And she was begging Fred for her life. He turned the gun and shot into the corner, jumped back in bed and covered up. And Laura took off out the back door and Julie took off out the front door. Julie went to the camper. Laura went to the neighbor's house. Julie called Mom and told Mom. She said, I don't know what to do. She told Mom what had happened. And she told Mom, she said, I know if I get in my car to leave, he will shoot me. While she was on the phone with Mom, Fred had got up and cut the breaker off his camper. Mom hung up and called the police and told them what was going on. And that was the only thing that she could do. And when the police came, they questioned my sister. She told them, yeah, I saw a pistol. They checked it for gunpowder residue. It had none on it. They checked her hands because Fred claimed that she was holding him at gunpoint and had shot at him. They checked her own site, her hands for gunpowder residue. It was negative. That's why Fred was arrested. That's why Fred was charged with the charges he got. And contrary to him telling everybody he spent 5 to 7 years in prison because of that, no, he spent 3.5 months and got out.
It was like pitch blackout, and these people were creeping around out there on Fred's property about 10 p.m. Bill Bitton had just showed up about 20 minutes ago trying to get some stuff off of Fred, which was already weird because they're not like cool like that. Like Fred, I mean, it was just weird. He hadn't been there in a month. Fred already has mentioned it to me as odd. And then he mentioned to me how after about 20 minutes of Bill being there, suddenly Fred noticed somebody creeping out in the woods.
Come across from the backside.
And Fred like snuck to see what was going on because he could see the shadows or whatever, right? Bill Bitton freaks out, right?
Yeah, I heard that gunshot.
Yeah, because they had a gun, by the way, guys. They were whoever these people are came armed, looking for fucking trouble.
That's a bad place to come looking for trouble.
Yeah, you did not have permission to be on that property. You guys got ballsy, you fucking idiots, listening to each other. This is exactly what happens when you have no fucking backbone and you're weak as fuck. And you go along with a group. You make dumbass decisions. Which one of you guys is the one that got in Fred said I've even talked about this. He went to hit a home run that night. He said, somebody left with a headache, like a splitter. Who was it? Fred can only tell make alpha was women or men. He said he saw there was like 5 figures.
3 stayed up high and 2 come down low.
Yeah, 2. There was 3 up like higher, farther away, 2 closer.
And the lead one's 25.
And then Fred went as soon as one like kind of got close to Fred, like and didn't see Fred. Fred was just waiting for him to come close to him. And he took this solid aluminum, 3/4 of an inch thick, 3 foot long pipe and hit a home run with the person. Made that freaking person's head a fucking baseball and hit a home run. What about when you hit him? Did anybody scream or anything?
No, they didn't. My own racket, about it.
But the only one that screamed was Bill Bitton, right?
Yeah, Bill was the only one that screamed.
A Hawkins County man is in critical condition tonight after another man shot him, claiming he pointed a gun at him. It happened just before 1 o'clock this morning on Ben Hill Road in Rogersville. The Hawkins County Sheriff's Department says Fred Hill Jr. told them he shot Roy Fanning. Hill said Fanning fired a shot in the air, then pointed his gun at him. That's when Hill says he shot Fanning.
From my knowledge, they don't know each other. They just end up the wrong place at the wrong time.